It was a grand 12-hour experiment, and like all experiments, it ends in a conclusion, and that conclusion is, we're not doing that again.
Come on and visit for any occasion. Don't keep patting down waiting, comics and conversation. Keep the conversation moving along. Keep reading comics, keep your local store strong. If it's hard, then it's a job for the challengers. Comics and conversation, y'all.
From Challengers Comics and Conversation in Chicago, this is Contest of Challengers. And now, here are Patrick Brower and W. Dal Bush.
And welcome to Contest of Challengers, a comics industry business podcast on the Yak Channel Podcast Network. And this is week 2 of our 5-part interview series with Nicholas Afligi and Sarah Delane. And was that last week? I forget.
I don't know.
Oh.
How would I know?
Hey, Dal, you're back.
I guess, yeah.
How was your sabbatical?
Good.
Did you learn a lot?
Sure.
I'll tell you what. When we skip a week of it being you and I recording, the industry explodes.
Yeah, that was nice of it.
Everything is happening.
Golly.
All at once. Where do you want to start? I saw you looking through your phone with some stories coming up, so I figured you have somewhere in mind.
That was just from boredom.
I was telling you a story at that time.
I was listening to it intently. We can talk about Marvel Comics number 1000 that was just announced today after being teased one way or another for the last 10 to 14 days.
You know, it's funny to me. There were retailers who were asking questions on one of the boards about it. Like, what is this?
Why?
What is this? And I knew it was Marvel Comics 1000. You knew it was Marvel Comics 1000.
I didn't think it was 1000, but I assumed it was some sort of anniversary project.
I mean, I literally heard 1000.
All of the pictures in the background for all of these things were like the greatest hits of Marvel covers for the last 80 years. The people, like, The Beat, I think maybe, or someplace else, on a couple different articles on this was like, it might also be for Absolute Carnage. It's definitely not going to be for Absolute Carnage. All of these names does not say, like, people working on a Carnage project for Marvel. Like, it's something else. So, the idea of it being an anniversary project, to me, not a surprise. It being specifically Marvel Comics 1000, I mean, it's not a surprise because I don't care. I don't think that matters. It's an anniversary project. It's an 80-page anniversary project. All right, sure.
The concept, great. 80 different one-page stories. I mean, they kind of did this, not that to this length, but with their X-Men Christmas special, and that was fun.
It was fun. I think, like, as a reader, as a fan, I think this will be okay. It's got a lot of interesting names involved. A one-page comic story, not a lot of room to work. Not a lot you can do in one page.
Especially when there's a thread that goes through them.
Yeah, it sounds like each page is going to be a year in Marvel history, is the way I'd read it someplace. So it could just be like someone basically has to do like 1958. Here you go.
But I mean,
figure out what that means.
There's something.
Yeah, Al Ewing is doing
up,
like a bridging sequence through a few of the pages to give it a spine and a shape, which is cool. It's better than just like, I don't know, whatever people want it to do. But again, that can mean that it can be sort of limiting in the narrative sense of like, this person had to do this page to make everything work, and that page is kind of boring. You know?
Sure.
That maybe is not the thing that is giving those creators' talents the best spotlight so much as it's just, you know, you got to do this part to make these other 79 pages make sense.
And while these ads started showing up in Marvel Comics this week, they also started popping up on a lot of the individual creators' social medias.
Yeah.
And my favorite was Kelly Sue DeConnick, whose comment was, Marvel asked me to post this.
Yeah. Marvel had a multi-stage thing where, like, in a day they had every participant, I guess who they could sort of leverage into doing it, post to their Twitter feed, hey, here's the thing we're doing. Some of them were just like, hey, the least famous person in this group is the one who posted it because the more famous people could not be bothered to do so.
But did you hear they got a Veronica Mars writer to do a story in it?
No, I didn't see that. That's fine.
You didn't ask which one?
Which one?
Kareem Abdul-Jabbar.
I did see Kareem Abdul-Jabbar was doing a piece. I guess I hadn't realized he was a Veronica Mars writer.
He is a staff writer for this upcoming season.
Oh, for the new ones. Okay,
yeah.
So not like the previous run of the show.
No.
Okay.
No.
That's probably why I didn't know that. Because he hasn't had any credit or work for them yet.
It's just such a weird thing.
Well, it's Kareem Abdul-Jabbar, and I think his writing partner probably.
Okay.
It looked like who probably had done his some of his other comics work. He's done Sherlock Holmesy comics, I think.
Good Mycroft. Mycroft stuff.
Yeah. So the project itself is the project. I don't think there's anything wrong with it per se, but I'm not super hyped about it in the sense of like this is going to get so many people excited, mostly because the Marvel Comics 1000 thing is the biggest shrug of, look, we know that everybody likes these stupid 1000 books. We don't have anything that's been continuously published since 1938 or 1939. So instead we're just going to slap a 1000 on this thing.
They've already done it once before. Remember, they had a 1000 issue before DC did. In Deadpool 1000.
Right, but that was a joke. Like, that was, even by the flimsy legacy numbering that Marvel comes up with, that was very cobbled together.
Well, so is this. I mean, that has...
Right, but at least...
That has as much of a reason as being a 1000 as this does.
Right, so that's what I'm saying. Like, this doesn't matter. Like, this is a ridiculous nonsense thing. So even if they've done 1000 before, like, this is still stupid. It still smacks of... You guys need it to be a 1000. Here it's a 1000. It's exactly the same as Action Comics and Detective Comics now. We're exactly the same as them. Like, boy, is it not. Is it not that thing?
It's insulting is what it is.
It basically, to me, assumes a kind of disdain for its audience that I think is really a tacky thing to see Marvel do. I don't think they do have a disdain for their audience, but it feels so...
I don't think the creators do.
No,
I think other members of that company
I don't even think they knew what it would be called. I think they
Sure.
just were told, like, it's an 80-year project we're doing.
Yeah,
We want to do an anniversary thing for 80 years of Marvel.
Why you don't call it Marvel 80th Anniversary Special?
I don't know. Because, again... Because it's a 1000. Because 1000s are a big deal for other publishers. So here's our 1000. It's exactly the same. It's just so mercenary in its construction that it just... I don't like seeing that element of it.
Yeah.
And not having a better answer than just like... just to signify what a special thing it is. Like, you gotta have a better answer for it than that. That's a bad answer. No answer would have been better.
So the article on the Beat about it had said, if you're trying to figure out the math, just stop.
Don't bother.
So I was reading that out loud along with your comments.
Sure.
I was reading that out loud, and after that last, and I didn't say where they're coming from, but after the math one, I actually said, these are all from Dal, aren't they?
They are.
Like, all of them except the math one.
Uh-huh.
Didn't even tell her I was talking to you.
No. Yeah, this is... Something I've said before is that one of DC's strengths is its ability to do special projects. Things like Action and Detective 1000, things like Doomsday Clock and Dark Knight's Metal. Marvel has a much tougher time of that. They're way better at issue ones, and like the core strength of their line is much better than DC's. But they're really weak when it comes to special events. Oftentimes because it feels like they're playing catch-up. Like, they're seeing what a success another company has, and they just go, and here's ours. Like, you can't do it that way. Even DC didn't do, like, 1000s for every single one of their books. Once Action Comics 1000 came out, they realized, look, we can do Detective next year. That's probably going to be it for a while.
Yeah.
Like, that's going to be it for a long time before we can do another 1000, because it has to mean something. It has to have, like, a sense to it. Marvel's doesn't. Marvel's just feels like, here... It's going to be $10. There's going to probably be like 15 covers. Order a ton.
We store variants, I'm sure.
I'm sure.
And look, we're not against the project. We just think it's dumb to call it 1000.
Yeah, I don't think it adds literally anything to it by calling it Marvel Comics 1000. And in fact, it probably detracts a little bit of prestige from it by making it seem like a total cash-in project rather than anything that is worthy of all of the creators who were involved in it. So that's not great. That's a negative as far as naming your book goes. I think we'll do okay with it, but we're not going to order like, Detective or Action 1000 numbers. Not even close.
No.
We're probably just going to order like one cover, and we're going to order like within the realm of probably, no pun intended, War of the Realms. Like, it's probably what we're going to order on it, depending on pre-orders.
Yeah. I mean, it may have a little bit of a life.
Yeah, probably. I mean, we sold Marvel Legacy for a while, mostly because no one wanted to buy Marvel Legacy up front, so we had to sell it for a while because we were stuck with it for a long time.
Digging through the back room last week, we found we sold a half box.
Oh my god, yeah. So that's going to be a lesson to us of like, hey, let's keep in mind how long Marvel Legacy sat around for.
Yeah.
Don't overextend ourselves.
I mean, it's a little bit of a different thing, but overall,
at least Marvel Legacy was tying into ongoing projects. This is something where it's like, I don't know.
Yeah, but maybe it has longer legs because it doesn't.
Maybe. I'll be interested to see. Yeah, I hope it's $10 or less. With any Marvel project, I'm always afraid of them saying, oh, it's a 80-page project, and we added in like 15 reprints in the back, and now it costs $20.
Yeah.
Enjoy.
Yep.
Great, thanks.
Yeah, has Marvel actually said it was $10?
I'm just saying it's $10. I don't know if they've announced a price point for it yet. Hope it's got a lenticular cover.
Oh, I can't wait.
So yeah, that was an interesting announcement.
Just today as we're recording.
Yeah, just today they finally spelled it out after a week of teases and announcements and ads and stuff.
I want to point out that on the message boards, which is what I call them, they're Facebook groups, but I like calling them message boards because it has the same kind of structure to it. You know, people posting, people responding.
Sure.
So there is a different publisher that has something happening in one of their books, and I have to be cryptic about it because I'm not revealing anything. But it came out of nowhere, and retailers weren't expecting it, and it's not over yet. So a retailer said, hey, publisher, point blank, does this happen in the next issue? And the publisher answered.
Yikes.
And now it's a game of, who's going to wreck this first? Is this going to get out? Can we be trusted?
No.
And literally, I immediately went to Bleeding Cool to say, has this leaked already?
Right.
And it was ballsy of the publisher to say, hey, look, we know you need this information to be able to sell the book. Mm-hmm. Here it is.
That's cool. That was very nice of them.
And there was a fun thread that
God, I hope it doesn't burn them.
that Joe Field had put up the other day. He was going through some back issues, and there was a Superman comic he came across that had a little blurb in the lower corner of the cover that said, retailers, check inside for display opportunity. And in the back, it was from the distributor saying, hey, we'll give you money off of the cover price of this book if you will give us a prominent display in your store.
Oh, okay.
And it was, not only was it in the book for everyone to see, it was on the cover as a way like, hey, retailers, your space is valuable. We want our products front in your store, like at a good spot. And this is a thing that happens in, and we've talked about it before, but everywhere. Bookstores, grocery stores, Target, Walmart, just not comic stores.
No.
But there's a time where the industry thought it was valuable to work with retailers to make sure that their books were given consideration. And even, for example, this week, Marvel announced a series of Spider-Man costume variant covers for an upcoming month. Mm-hmm. And again, I found out about it on the internet, and the next day, get a press release from Marvel in my inbox. Why are we always getting it second? Why do we have to worry about keeping a track of these things? So if somebody were to say, oh, I totally want the Spider Armor cover, I'd have to, if I hadn't seen this article, I would have been like, what are you talking about?
Sure. One of my favorite publisher things was somebody had emailed to say, hey, can you add that Die comic to my subscription list?
Yeah, and we had no idea what it was.
And it was a few hours before Image emailed us to say Kieran Gillen announces a new comic called Die coming out in a couple months. So I had to go, do you mean Die, the Kirkman project? I mean, we can get you the other issues. And then it was, no, the Kieran Gillen thing. And it was, because they just announced it on, like, a website, and I don't read that website. And I was not on the internet at that point waiting to go to different websites to find out comics news. I would hope it would be in an email in my inbox, but
no.
Because of the way the publicity works, they have to give these different, if they want coverage on these other sites, they have to give them priority. They have to say, the news is going to break here, then we're going to tell everybody else, and it'll be reported other places.
They have to give exclusives.
Yeah.
Under the category of battles I've given up on is trying to educate people when to ask for something, i.e., the second it's announced, asking for us does no good.
We have to have a piece of paper that has 3 people's names written down next to the words 3 Jokers, because as soon as 3 Jokers was announced, we had 3 different subscribers email us to say, put me down for that. It hasn't been solicited yet. It won't be solicited for, at this point, probably another year.
But we don't want them to not get the book.
At this point, I kind of want them to not get the book.
Well, it's not...
I'm just so sick of... But they might not even, A, be subscribers by the time it comes out.
Yeah.
B, they're not going to remember they ordered it, so we're going to get these emails again when the book's officially solicited.
I know, but it's not their fault. I mean...
It's a little bit their fault.
When a thing is announced, it should be orderable.
When movies are announced, you cannot go to the box office of your favorite theater and say, yes, I'd like tickets to the untitled Star Wars movie that's coming on 2023. Thank you, yes. IMAX, please.
I know.
The theater's going to go, that's great that you want to see it. Tickets aren't available yet. Go home.
That's not what they're going to say. They're going to say,
maybe come back.
What is wrong with you? That's what they're going to say.
One ticket for the Eternals, please.
But my point is, we're never going to educate people about that. They're never going to understand that we can't put an order into the system until the book is listed so it's in the system.
Yeah. When we send you the email with the catalog, that's when you can order it.
You know, at the point that they announced the Punk Spider-Man Spider-Verse pop vinyl figure, we had somebody ask for it immediately, and then multiple different people asked to it up to a point after it came out.
Yes.
Like, there's no set place that it was ordered. I was doing a lot of hand gesturing for people that can't actually see me. But, I mean, there's no, like, that's a battle. I'm never going to win the battle of, no, you can't order it until it's in the catalog. Because who knows? We only have 4 people that get the catalog. They don't even know what the catalog is.
Well, the catalog is a thing that's available online and also that we put on our website and email literally every subscriber letting them know when the catalog is ready for their orders and also the date at which we cannot guarantee orders.
Thank you. You've just proved my point. The fact that we do all that work means nobody knows that.
No, nobody does.
Right. But anyway, that is one of those... I've given up that. I've given up that fight.
Okay.
There are fights you have to learn to let go. That is one that I've given up on.
Okay.
I just add a name to that sheet of paper and move on.
Okay.
I mean, you can do whatever you want. I'm just saying, like,
I'll still get angry about it sometimes.
I have to let that go.
Every time,
too much.
Writing it down on the sheet doesn't bother me. Getting back to someone and saying, hey, it's not available for order yet, but we'll keep a note of it just for whenever it is. The time when I get angry is when the future sheet fills up, and there's a bunch of names that are crossed off for things that have been solicited, and then I have to take the stuff that has still not been solicited yet
and transfer it to a new
sheet. That's when I'm like, God damn it. Like, that's when I get unbelievably angry, because it's like an albatross. Like, I'm carrying around stupid Jeff Johns and his stupid comic book that is maybe never going to come out because he had to stupidly say it on a stupid panel, and it got stupidly reported on a bunch of stupid sites, and 3 stupid people went, yep, I want it right now. Add it for me. And so I have to, like Sisyphus, every few months rewrite those names down on a new sheet of paper because that book is still not out yet.
I got a text message this morning from someone who had asked me to order something for them, and they said, hey, when is this thing due out? So I had to scroll through the text messages to find when they asked for it, and I said, yes, I'll order it. Here's the day it's scheduled for. So I had to scroll through the messages to find that, to send it to them again.
One of the extra pieces of work that goes unnoticed that does...
It was you, Bob!
...legitimately drive me up the wall is my process for what happens right before we send out the monthly emails letting people know the new catalog is up. So I go through the text file for the catalog, and I format it, and I post it on our website, and I add images to everything that there's images for in Diamond's database. I make a note of everything that is being added to people's subscription lists, like whatever the kind of match twos are.
Uh-huh.
And then I make sure I do all of those match twos so it's on everyone's subscription list that gets emailed to them. So if I say, hey, we took book A and we added it to everyone who subscribed to book B, book A is going to be listed on everyone's list as your right now current subscription list.
Yes, in the email that it's telling you
Right.
that this is going to happen, it's already happened.
So when people respond with, cool, can I get down for book A? And I went to the trouble of adding it to everyone's list who gets it. That says book A right down there, like literally 5 lines down from where you're saying you want it added. It says it's already on your list. That happens at least with one person every single month. And it's the thing that makes me say, why do I do any of this? What is any of this good for?
All right, let's rein this back in because this was supposed to be a, hey, look at all this news that happened, not a, let's bury all these hatchets.
I don't know.
I thought I was the one that usually comes in hot.
Well, you're hitting all my buttons tonight. You're bringing up all the things that I try not to let bother me that secretly bother me a ton, but they only bother me in solitude. Like, I'm by myself when these things are bothering me, so no one gets to see me blowing up.
Okay.
Elsewhere in the industry.
I'm going to change topics.
Elsewhere in the industry.
This is a thing that I think is a huge deal, and I can't find anybody else that cares, and we've already had to take some steps around it as it was, but again, no one else seems to care. Baker and Taylor, who is our number 2 distributor,
Correct.
they're our go-to for restocking predominantly sidekicks, anything we can't get from Diamond, and a lot of things for me.
Yeah, it's mostly non-premier publisher stuff from Diamond. If it's premier publisher, Marvel, DC, Dark Horse, Image, they're usually pretty well covered at Diamond, but almost everybody outside of them, really not well covered. First, Second, Scholastic, like you were saying, sidekicks, but not just sidekicks, other stuff that we've had to stock.
Sure.
Diamond will sell out basically immediately and not restock it, so we have to source it through Baker and Taylor instead.
So Baker and Taylor, out of the blue last Wednesday, announced that they are no longer selling to bookstores or comic book stores. They're just focusing on schools and libraries.
They're not selling to independent bookstores, so larger chains they will still deal with.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Oh, that's even more of a slap in the face.
I guess. I don't know how viable it was for them to keep doing that. One of the things that someone had posted, I think it was on The Beat, when they were talking about it, was that one of the problems potentially could have been that independent bookstores have even limited returnability, while libraries and schools don't, and maybe larger chain bookstores don't need it as much, which would surprise me if that were the case.
But I can't imagine
because
libraries and schools buying quantity.
I guess.
I don't know. I'm sure there's librarians listening to this saying, are you insane? We buy a ton of copies of a book. I don't know that.
Well,
But it's just, to me, it's hurtful when your secondary distributor says, no, you're not worth it to us.
our business is not required. Yeah,
Yeah.
it's not great.
Even you didn't seem to be as bugged by it by I was.
I-
And then I posted about it right away on the boards, and no one responded.
Yeah, I don't.
Does no one use this company?
I think some of it is just that Baker and Taylor, unlike a Diamond, it wasn't exclusive with anybody. So in the same way that, if we had to source, dice or something, if Southern Hobby stopped carrying dice, we could find someone else who has dice. It's not a big deal. We
Yeah.
just find somebody else. And while it was a hassle to have to set up an account with somebody else, I like the somebody else that we set up with. I like their website. I like what they stock. I mean,
But-
it seems like it's got a lot of the same functionality that we would need out of Baker and Taylor.
That's funny you say that, because Bookazine really hasn't gotten back to us.
That's not who I'm talking about.
Oh, what? I don't know. It's fine. You move on. That's
Yeah.
the way business works.
Yeah, and I can't blame Baker and Taylor at all for making a change in their business. If they're looking at the numbers and they're just like, it does not make sense for us to do it this way, we've had to say that about stuff. Where I'm sure for some people who are using that service or
No, but
buying that
it's-
product, they thought it sucked, but we can't help that. We have to do what's best for the long-term health of our business.
Yeah, but what we have done is gotten rid of a thing as a whole. It would be like us saying, oh, hey, anybody whose last name starts with M, S, or L, we can't sell to you anymore. Other people can get books from us, sure, just not you.
I don't know if it's like that.
I mean, that's a lot overdramatic,
Sure.
over-dramatized. But they're still selling books
Yeah.
to places,
Yeah.
just not us. When we stop something, we stopped like our rental club or any of the other many things we stopped at full stop.
Yeah.
We didn't let some people still use it.
No.
But I'm sure they have valid reason.
Yeah,
it's
I definitely think they have valid
It's a thing
reasons.
that we were actually using Baker and Taylor more and more.
Yeah, it's true.
And I'll be honest, their discount wasn't as good on a Diamond for a lot of things.
No.
But I mean, it's just sad to see them go.
Yeah, it was convenient for us to use them, and it was less convenient to have to start up a new account. But in a month, I don't think we'll even notice.
Well, let's see. As for doing what's best for business, another big story from this week. Big story.
Mm-hmm.
Keeps getting bigger.
Yeah.
The merger between Oni Press and Lion Forge.
Yeah.
All under the Polarity parent company umbrella.
Yeah, of Lion Forge.
Well, yeah, they're Lion Forge's owner.
Right.
So, two major publishers. I thought you'd... Well...
Two publishers. That's
Well,
true.
I mean, the distinction is we don't carry a whole lot of Lion Forge stuff. We carry almost everything Oni does.
Well, that's, I guess, kind of the joke of it is that Lion Forge was a company that was pushing a lot of their Catalyst superhero stuff, but also a bunch of kind of other sort of books. And the other sort of books are mostly what we ordered from Lion Forge. Like when they would do like art comics projects or when they would do like younger readers things.
Yeah.
Those we definitely pick up. The Catalyst stuff, we don't carry any of it at all. And it sounds like what's happening with the publishing side of it is that Lion Forge as a publisher will just be doing the Catalyst stuff, while all of these sort of other books will be going over to Oni.
Well, Oni has a no superheroes rule.
Right. So we'll keep ordering basically everything Oni does, and we'll keep not ordering any of the Catalyst stuff. So it doesn't sound like it's going to be much of anything for us, depending on how Oni integrates the Lion Forge projects that are in the pipeline into their pipeline.
One of the dumbest articles I saw about this, and I've read a lot of articles about the merger this week,
Okay.
was, I forget who did it, but just as well I shouldn't call them out because it's dumb. Here's what we think their logo could look like. And it was a merging of the two logos.
Dumb.
Like, how is this news?
Dumb.
I still read it though, but
You
it's
did.
because it was on an article. I was most interested in hearing about the layoffs because when you have
Yeah.
two companies with full staff of 20 people roughly each that are merging, you only need 20 of those people to run this company.
Yeah, I mean, in theory, you'd need a few more in certain categories, depending on how you're planning on growing the company. Like, are you releasing as much stuff as Oni and Lion Forge collectively released previously? Like, if that's your new monthly plan, then you're going to need a lot more people than one company could normally have. But that's only in certain categories of your company. Like, you don't need 2 accounting departments. You don't need 2 HR departments. You don't need twice as many editors if you're not going to be publishing twice as many books. Like, that's the worst part of it. I assume for most people is the redundancy part of it, because you can be great at your job, but now there's twice as many of you. It doesn't matter how good you are at your job. It matters how many paychecks there's going to be.
So there's no master list of people who are let go, but it's coming out.
Yeah.
Some people that have been let go because some of the people are telling you about it. And there's 2 ways that employees that have been let go have been telling the world about it.
Yeah.
One is, and this is all via social media.
Yeah.
One is the post of, yes, it's true, I'm not with this company anymore. That's all I'm going to say about this. Mm-hmm. The other is, these motherfuckers had the nerve to fucking fire my ass after all the stuff I've done for them, and I'm this and I'm that, and like just this total bridge burning.
Yeah. That's a way to go.
And I thought that it was, well, really unprofessional. And I understand you're mad. But it's also, like we were talking just before, it's business. And, Lion Forge lost their editor-in-chief because you can't have 2 editor-in-chiefs.
Yeah,
People have to be let go, and it doesn't matter if you were top of your class or where you came from. A lot of it has to do with who was hired last.
Yeah, I don't begrudge anyone burning bridges when they leave. I mean, a lot of it depends on things that you and I will never see, which is, what was that meeting like?
Sure.
How were people let go? Were they given any severance? Were they given any warning? Were they given any sort of assistance in securing other work? Like, there's people who, live in Portland, who work at Oni, who I don't know how quickly they were told they were being let go. That's in a way, it's none of our business. But on the other hand, it explains a lot of how certain people maybe leave the company. I don't know. I wouldn't feel comfortable saying who's at fault in that situation. So I'll just say, if someone's upset about it, they're upset about it. That's their livelihood. Sometimes it's hard to have perspective on it. It's very easy for us who are looking at it in a, game theory. What does it mean for the industry? What does it mean for us as a store carrying these products? It's another one. I have to find another job now in an industry that is maybe looking for less people like me than it was a few years ago.
Yeah, but I take umbrage to the venom behind it, and there's a level of professionalism that's not there. And then also for blaming other factors when those other factors aren't necessarily at play.
Sure.
It left a bad taste in my mouth.
I can see that. Yeah, it didn't bother me because I don't know the story behind it. I don't know that I would react that way, but I'm not in that same position, so maybe I would. I don't know. I would hope I wouldn't. But I've never been made redundant like that.
We need to talk.
Uh-oh.
Specifically, there was somebody from one of the two companies who I know, cost that company a lot of money in mistakes they had made.
Uh-huh.
And they're one of the people let go, and they're one of the people that are the most angry about being let go.
Uh-huh.
And I thought, I know of two specific instances where you were at fault for something.
Yeah.
And you didn't get let go then. Maybe writing was on the wall. I don't know. I again, like you just said, we don't know anything about it.
No.
But all I know is if you are looking to hire someone with those qualifications, and you have somebody who flamed their last employer,
it's
and
not
someone
a great
who
look.
didn't,
It's not a great look.
you're hurting yourself more.
Yeah. I mean, overall, just for the redundancies, it's an unfortunate cost of doing business, and while it is a cost of doing business, it's still unfortunate.
And I'm sure that this happened as a result of necessity.
Yeah, I gotta assume. I mean, when it's a merger, any sort of thing where you have two companies, now you have one company, rarely are you growing one company by 200%.
Yeah. Yeah, and it's a choice of... And if you're one of the people who are let go, you probably don't care about the longevity of either company.
No, because it would almost be, like, kind of psychotic to be like, man, I'm so glad they let me go. It's going to be so good for them in the long term that I'm not there. Like, that's an insane thing to think. Like, you can be happy with your new situation when you have a new situation, but in the immediate aftermath of your job doesn't exist anymore, or your job exists but you don't have it anymore, there's very little like bright side on that. And I think it's totally in keeping of human nature to be upset about that result, even if you can intellectually realize the reasons why it's occurring. Emotionally, you lost your goddamn job. That's shitty. That feels shitty, I assume.
I'm pretty sure you lost a job.
There was a job I just stopped going back to. I don't know if that counts. I don't think that does. So in my life, prior to Challengers, I had 3 jobs. I think it's 3?
Yeah.
2 I quit. 1 I took like an extended leave to go do other stuff, and they didn't want me back, and I didn't want to go back. So as far as I know, I might still work there. That company no longer exists, though. So I got to feel like one way or another, my position was eliminated. That's my experiences with leaving jobs.
I don't know how many jobs I've had in my life, but full-time, like, career jobs, I've had 2, but they're the same job.
Is it this one? Is one of them this?
Yes.
Okay.
And the other one was also this, but just not this store.
Sure.
But I had jobs, video store jobs, multiple video store jobs. I worked in a gas station. I worked in a hobby shop.
Were you ever let go?
I was once for a severe disagreement with a manager.
Was it the frame store?
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. Yeah, I can understand that.
Anyway, moving on, as Patrick Gleason has moved on from DC Comics.
DC comic books.
What? Patrick Gleason
Where did he go?
moved to an exclusive contract with Marvel Comics.
Yeah, he released a piece of artwork where he drew all of the various popular Marvel superheroes. And it looks weird. It looks so weird.
His Spider-Man is so weird.
It's so weird. Yeah, that's where he's landing first, though, is he's the new, one of the new, question mark, regular artist on Amazing Spider-Man.
His Amazing Spider-Man looks like Ultimate Spider-Man.
It's a very spindly character, and it look. I mean, I think that design is cool. I don't know.
Sure.
Like you're saying though, I don't know if it works for Marvel Universe adult Peter Parker so much as it does Ultimate Universe teenage Peter Parker or Miles Morales. I like Patrick Gleason's artwork a lot. He's a guy that is almost synonymous with DC to the extent that when I saw the image of all of his Marvel character drawings, I thought that all of them look wrong because they all look like they're DC characters. And also, conversely, where is Batman and Superman in this image? Because it's Patrick Gleason artwork, I think. He looks like a completely different artist to me because he's never really drawn these characters publicly before. Like, he might have done them for, like, convention sketches or, like, a print or something, but, like, this sort of stuff where Marvel Comics is like, hey, here's Patrick Gleason drawing our famous characters. I've never seen that before, and it just looked really strange to me.
So that got me thinking, what other Lifetime artists have yet to jump? Like, remember when it was such a huge deal that John Romita Jr. and Mark Bagley
Yeah, I mean, that was
over?
my comparison for Patrick Gleason at DC was when John Romita Jr. went over to DC, because he was a guy that he had grown up being a Marvel artist. And suddenly he was drawing Superman. It was like, I don't understand this.
This week, DC Collectibles had a blowout sale.
Yeah.
And one of the things was the John Romita Jr. Batman Black and White statue.
The All-Star Batman one?
And I'm like, hey, I got some Batman Black and White. Oh, no.
Not that one.
No, thank you.
Nope. No. You can see why it's left over, being blown out.
Still not used to that.
Yeah, I don't know who's... Because people have kind of moved
Jumped
around
back
here
and
and there.
forth.
Like, because of the Bendis stuff, there's a lot of people that suddenly ended up at DC that I think we had not normally seen before. Jim Chung was a guy that was Marvel for the longest time and is now one of the Justice League artists.
Yeah. The Justice League was the book that got him to go, right?
I guess, yeah. Yeah,
I think I have one.
Okay.
Doug Mankey.
Yeah.
You remember Doug Mankey doing any Marvel stuff?
I don't really. I can't really think of anything. Yeah, but he'd be an interesting choice.
I mean, they have Olivier Coipel now doing variant covers and stuff.
Right.
But he hasn't done a...
He was a DC guy to start with, though.
Oh, that's right. He did Legion.
Was.
Yeah. Man, I forgot about that.
I mean, he's been a Marvel guy for...
Ever.
15 years, probably, at least. But yeah, he did Legion Lost, he did Legion Ongoing, and then he moved over to Marvel. Yeah, I don't know who at Marvel now is like a huge name that the DC could poach, or vice versa. Ivan Reis, maybe?
Yeah, that's a good one.
I don't know if he's a big... Like, it's tough with artists because there's not... I can't think of a lot of huge names. Like, even Patrick Gleason, you would ask me... We have a subscriber who's a big Patrick Gleason fan, but they're a big DC fan. They don't read Marvel stuff. So are they likely to pick up Amazing Spider-Man just because Patrick Gleason's drawing it? I don't think so. I don't know if people follow artists like that anymore.
Well,
like, the right artist on the right book is definitely a sales multiplier, but I don't think there's, beyond a few, like, high-level names, like 5 names you could name. I don't think people follow artists like that.
I asked patron Christina that very question, and if I recall, she had said, and she can correct me because she'll hear this, that she'll look at some of the covers he's doing, and maybe if he's doing variant covers or something, but he's not an automatic buy of a Marvel character that he's doing.
Yeah, so there you go.
And she's a very avid follower of his. But she's also very company loyal.
Yeah, she's committed to the DC universe as a storytelling universe.
Yeah. Which is why she likes Patrick
Right,
Gleason.
and because of that, she discovered artists like Patrick Gleason. If it was the other way around, if she was somebody who found Patrick Gleason's artwork and then started reading Superman or Green Lantern Corps or whatever, then she'd probably be more likely to follow him to Amazing, but it was the other way around. There's not a lot of artists that are very company exclusive or at least don't have a period of working for the other major publisher. Ed Piskor.
That said, I still am excited for Patrick Gleason's take on the Marvel Universe.
Yeah, like I said, I think he's a super talented artist.
The same way it was like, oh man, Ryan Otley's coming to Marvel. What?
It's still weird to me. There's occasionally times where I see Peter Parker, I'm like, Invincible looks so weird this month.
Yeah. I think that Gleason's Spider-Man is akin to Otley's Spider-Man.
Gleason's Spider-Man is way more of the Miles Morales Spider-Man, where it's like, does he have knees and elbows? Or is he just like a series of little, like...
No, they're super pointy when he does it.
They're always like these little, like, pinched indentions, rather than, like, working joints. And...
they're like 90-degree angles.
And Otley does, he draws a taller, lankier Spider-Man.
Yeah.
But one who has a regular adult physiology. Not like an inflatable balloon that someone has bent a few different angles.
That's true. So, Dal, I mentioned a patron before, and because of the interview episode last week, which was the first week of May, we didn't get a chance to go over all of our thank you level patrons on last week's episode. So,
it's we now, is it?
It is. Well, I mean, you never jump in.
Sarah couldn't rattle these off?
Thank you, Matt Armstrong, Ryan Alcock, Mike Lee, Mitchell Davies, Tom Nagovin, Jose Villagomez, Michael Romanenko, Artie White, George Brower, Morgan Kaiju Perry, Robert Lane, Jacob Sorelli, and the aforementioned Christina McChrystal. Avid listeners will notice we're named short, but that's what happens in the Patreon game.
Yeah, we deserved it.
Patrons aren't forever.
We deserved it.
Yeah, we deserve more patrons. You're right. You're right. Right before I got home, I stopped at Walgreens.
What'd you get?
And I found something that I thought was super neat, so I bought it.
Oh, the infamous Iron Man.
Marvel Legends.
Marvel exclusive.
Infamous Iron Man.
Yeah.
You said Marvel exclusive.
It's
you
a
mean,
Walgreens exclusive.
But it doesn't have a Walgreens exclusive sticker anywhere.
I wonder if that's because Hasbro got burned a little bit by making exclusives for stores that then no longer existed.
Oh, I wonder.
And maybe now they're just like,
well, they were stickers.
Yeah, you can
before.
You can put stickers on if you want, stores, but we're not going to do that for you.
Look at that detachable head. It looks a lot like a Reed Richards head. Not entirely, but it looks like it.
Maybe.
I had someone in today who was telling me that he heard John Krasinski is Reed Richards in the upcoming Marvel Universe Fantastic Four. And I said, that'd be great, but I don't think that's true.
Yeah, I mean...
since we're like 5 years away.
Yeah, if it is the case, fine. If it's not, fine too. Yeah,
although,
I don't really go in for fantasy casting.
If he is... No, here you read it. It's not fantasy, he read it.
Oh, it's on the internet, that's right. It's been reported.
If it is John Krasinski, the longer it takes to get made, the more it plays to the Reed Richards strength, I think.
I guess.
Yeah. Yeah, anyway, and that he's interested in a infamous Iron Man Marvel Legends figure. They're now at Walgreens. I think it came out pretty well.
Yeah, I think it came out great.
I hid it so you couldn't see it until this
this
big reveal. So now, Dal, we're going to go backwards in time by about a week.
Okay.
And talk about a thing that just happened, even though, depending on when you're listening to this, we have a thing that's about to happen immediately, which is the Little Girls release party, Monday night, like tonight, if you're listening to this on Monday, with Nicholas Afligi and Sarah Delane, the creators of Little Girls from Image, and with musical accompaniment by Catchy the Band and Gentle Heat, and with Miller High Life, of course. Starting at 6 p.m. on Monday, we are looking for quite a wonderful turnout because the bands are doing some good promotion for this.
Cool.
And, it should be a good party, good time. And Nicholas and Sarah are on tour right now, and I've been paying attention to some of the other stops, and I'm jealous of every store that they've been to so far.
Cool.
But anyway, it's time to talk about the time-honored tradition of Free Comical Book Day.
Is it happening again in this year?
No, it just happened.
Oh, thank God. Okay.
We haven't talked about it.
No.
And it's been a week, and people are riveted to hear our opinion.
I always feel weird when customers ask us, how was Free Comic Book Day? Like...
I'll be honest, almost everyone that's asked that this year omits the free, and they'll just say, how was Comic Book Day? I've gotten a lot of those, including today, and including from my sister.
Like, this is going to sound weird.
How was Comic Book Day?
This is going to sound weird on a comics industry business podcast, but I kind of don't like talking about it in the store.
It's none of your business. Get it?
It's something where it's like when people ask us, like when we're going to do the party for Little Girls. Like, I don't want people asking me at the party or after the party if I'm having a good time. It's not for me to have a good time at.
Right.
It's for everyone else to have a good time at. So my answer for how was Free Comic Book Day for us is always good. I hope people had a good time and they got some good books and they were looking to read stuff. Like, I don't want to talk about it with people on the level of, oh, we did well, or here's the problems we had. Here on the podcast, sure.
Yeah.
But in the store, I don't like talking about that kind of stuff.
Yeah, it's easy to deflect with it. Yeah, it was a good time. Today, Ashley said, "Did you have fun at Free Comic Book Day?" And I said, "No.
Yeah.
I'm not supposed to."
Yeah, it's work. We're working so that everybody else has a good time. It's not for me to have a good time. I would have a good time being at home.
Yeah,
It seems like it's not conducive to a good Free Comic Book Day for everybody else.
To be fair, I did not have a bad time.
No.
And I was happy to share the time that I did with a lot of people that were there.
Sure.
But it's not like on a list of, what do I want to do this weekend? Oh, I want to spend all this effort and energy taking apart my store and building racks and making free comics, then working a 13-hour plus day. That's what I want to do this weekend. What about you?
Just the last part is really all I want to do.
Yeah. But anyway, this year's Free Comic Book Day, we experimented.
Yeah.
For the first time ever, we weren't just open 6 hours. We were open double that to 12 hours. It was a grand 12-hour experiment.
Yeah.
And like all experiments, it ends in a conclusion. And that conclusion is, we're not doing that again.
Well, not exactly.
Not exactly.
We'd expanded the hours because the thing we would hear from people year after year is that they couldn't make it to Free Comic Book Day even though they wanted to because they had to work that day, they had family commitments, whatever. So 11 to 5, they just couldn't make that work. So we thought, okay, well, what if we expand it out so that we're open for 12 hours? So people kind of, as long as they're in town, they don't have an excuse not to show up because no one's really busy for 12 hours, which hilariously then over the next 5 days, we still had people coming in going, oh, I wanted to come in, but I was busy. Like, we were open for 12 hours.
Well, I had to work at 9, and I work until 8, so I couldn't do it. I'm not going to go back and listen to it, but I guarantee you, if we listen to the post-2018 Free Comic Book Day episode, you and I are talking about doing it for 24 hours.
Yeah, that was the original plan.
Yeah.
I don't know if we ever outright said that out loud on the podcast, but the original plan was
I'm pretty sure we did.
Literally Free Comic Book Day. We'd open at midnight. We'd be open to 11:59 p.m. That was the plan for like a few weeks.
Oh, why? I wouldn't say a few months.
A few months.
Well, it's not like we talked about it. We floated the idea and then didn't get back to it for 6 months.
Right, and then it came time to start like ordering books and you know, about 6 months out, we were starting to get into the idea of like, okay, what does this look like? How does this operate? How do we staff it?
And keep in mind, listener, that we order the free comic books in January. Mm-hmm. So we have to know what we're doing for Free Comic Book Day in January. Spoiler alert, we didn't.
Yeah, but we did start talking about more seriously kind of what we'd be doing. And as much as we were into the promotional idea of getting behind Free Comic Book Day and being open for 24 hours, the reality of the situation, because we've done a bunch of be open for 24-hour sort of events.
And I'm not saying we never will again, but there's no plans.
Right. Mostly because we're older and it's harder to do, but also because we have experience with them and we found out that, you know, basically you're going to maybe have a rush at midnight for like an hour or two, maybe. And then it's going to be pretty dead from like 2 a.m. until like 7 or 8.
Except for 2 of those hours, somebody you don't want to see will come in and hang out 4 hours.
Yeah. And then you're going to be busy, you know, the regular part of the day, and then it's going to die off again once night falls. You know, having to staff that and figuring out who's going to do that, and it's like, well, you know, do you do the middle part of the day where it's busier and then miss the beginning and end where you might need to be there? Do you do the beginning part in the middle but not the end? Do you know, get some sleep and then come back? And it's all these things, and it's just like all of this feels like it's making a more miserable Free Comic Book Day for everyone at Challengers. Not necessarily the customers, but everybody who works there is going to have to make some weird sacrifice or work hours they don't want to work. And it just seemed like the 24-hour thing, we just couldn't figure out a way to do it that would be beneficial. So I can't remember, you probably, I think, had the idea of like, let's just do 12 hours. Let's open at 8 and close at 8.
Well, what we initially said was open 8 till late.
Yeah.
We were going to go till midnight.
If people kept showing up.
Yeah. And then when we were planning out the artists, we had it booked till 8 o'clock with the maybe we'll need it afterwards. And then we realized, let's not say 8 till midnight.
Yeah.
Because we don't want to commit to it.
Yeah, we don't want to be stuck there at 10 o'clock with nobody in the store, and then we have to be there for another 2 hours because we advertised till midnight. Now we have to keep being here.
And we liked saying 8 till 8 because it's a nice alliterative phrase.
It communicates pretty clearly.
And we also kept in our back pocket, like, well, if we're still busy at 8 o'clock, we'll stay.
Yeah, I was not going to turn anyone away, even though we essentially at 8 o'clock we're telling people, like,
get out.
We are closing now. Please buy your stuff and leave. Because we were exhausted and we wanted to put everything away, and they were keeping us from doing that. What we found out, so we were open twice as long this year, 2019, as we have other years. Every other year we've been open to 6 hours. This year we were open for 12 hours. In doing so, our number of transactions and our amount of our sales total both went up 25% over 2018. So we were open twice as long for 25% more business, which is honestly about what I had hoped for. You at one point thought we would see like double.
No. I had jokingly said,
okay,
well, we're open double. We better do double.
Yeah.
But I never expected that.
Yeah, that was never going to happen.
I'll be absolutely forthright and say I thought we would do more than we did.
Okay.
But only by a little.
Okay.
By a couple $100 is what I was shooting for.
Sure.
I did not expect double. I did say that out loud, that we better do double, but I did not mean it.
Yeah. Where the sales were was basically the 8 to 11. Like, that was hugely beneficial. Like, that's almost entirely kind of the 25% that we went up.
Yeah.
Were those hours. The 5 to 8, negligible. Basically irrelevant. We did some sales in there, but there were definitely, like, not a lot of people, and we might as well have closed up at, like, 5:30 or 6. So next year, probably 8 a.m. to 6 p.m., I think is what we talked about.
That's what we're saying now, a year out.
Yeah. Don't add that to your subscription list yet. That's not in the catalog. That's just us talking on a podcast.
So one of the things that we had done was, since we had ordered the final numbers, before we committed exactly to when we were going to be open, although we did have a discussion like, hey, should we get more? I started to think toward the last minute that we didn't have enough books and we needed more.
Yeah, you were nervous about it. You'd mentioned it a couple, 3 weeks before the event, and then the Friday night that you set up, you brought it up again, and you seemed more set on the idea that looking at them all on the racks, you did not think we had enough to go around.
Like, I put everything out, and I had like 4-foot empty shelves. Mm-hmm. And I thought, this isn't right. Like, there were years past where we had, like, some years past we held back half the stuff for half the day so we could restock midway through.
Yeah.
Or we would have boxes of extra stuff. We didn't have, like, everything except for Dear Justice League was out.
Right.
Along with a bunch of stuff from the previous year. So I once again said, hey, I don't think we have enough stuff. I think we have to change our limit. Mm-hmm. Our limit has traditionally, for the last several years, been 5. I'm like, we got to go to 4. And when I first said it, you said, no, we'll be fine.
Yeah.
But then when I said it, like, night of, after I told you, hey, it's set up and we don't have enough, I'm like, we got to do 5. You said, fine, we'll go to 4.
Yeah, I deferred. I wasn't there. I didn't see what it all looked like. If you said, we should go to 4, I trust your judgment.
The irony was, you didn't even see it the morning of.
No.
Because it was too busy right away.
Yeah, I mean, when we got in, we already had people waiting outside who were working the day of, so we needed to let them in, and we had stuff that we were bringing in, and we had things to set up and get ready. So, yeah, at one point you had, jokingly, maybe, chided me for not acknowledging the hard work you had done, and I had to go, I haven't seen any of it. I've been behind the counter. I didn't see anything.
I like how you said jokingly, maybe?
Yeah. Hard to tell. Sometimes hard to tell.
So we limited to 4 books per person. And I fully admit that was the wrong call. We had way too much stuff left over. I thought we were going to get so many extra people that, like, the math in my head didn't work out.
Yeah, I mean, it was an experiment. And we were hedging on the side of making sure that the people who showed up late in the day could still have options. But yeah, I mean, we know better for next year now.
Yeah. The only... And I told you this, that I was having stress dreams for weeks leading up to it.
Yeah.
Because I'm always fearful of negative interactions. Sure. And there was only one interaction from the whole day.
Uh-huh.
I mean, stuff got stolen. That happens all the time on
Sure.
Free Comic Day. We can't police everything.
Nope, too many people.
So that sucks. But there, like in years past, there was a guy I had to throw out of the line outside for trying to sell Chicago Tribune subscriptions.
Yeah.
Stuff like that happens.
Yeah.
But also one guy comes in and everybody and we had lines at weird parts of the day. Like when we got to the store at like 7:30, there was like 1 or 2 people outside.
Yeah.
Like maybe 5 people. By the time we opened the door at 8, the line went down to the end of the store.
Yeah.
Which is unfathomable to
Yeah.
us. And there were points where there'd be a line out of nowhere. One time a trolley showed up full of people that was doing a comic shop crawl in a trolley.
Yeah.
So that caused a larger line.
Sure.
But we also tried to eliminate the line by being open all this extra time.
Yeah,
anyway,
that was the hope, was that even if there are lines, like every other year, like when we open at 11, there's already a line like around the building, and it doesn't really abate until like, a few hours into the day. So we wanted a thing where it's like, let's get people in the store as quickly as we can.
Yeah.
Selfishly, because we want people to be, through the free comic part into the shopping part.
Yes.
It's part of the reason why we're doing this.
That's important.
Is to buy things, and people can't buy things when they're outside in line. And the longer they spend outside in line, maybe the less inclined they are to eventually buy stuff once they get through that line.
Well, there was one guy who, as he came in, and my point was going to be that the cosplayers that work for us on those days, they are the point people. Mm-hmm. They are the people that are constantly telling you what our rules are, what our limits are, how it works.
Right.
And then the people in the store do that as well. But the cosplayers, if the weather's not set, they're outside. So everybody gets the rules multiple times.
Yes.
And there was a guy who came in, he's like, all right, so it's 7? Like, what? We get 7? No, it's 4. Oh, you lowered it this year?
It was never 7.
Not from 7. It was never 7. It's 4. You get a total of 4 per person. Okay, so 4 on each side.
What?
Like, I go, what? Like 4 front and 4 back. That would be 8. You started at 7. I said it's less than that. You went higher. It's 4. And then it's like, great, now I have to watch you the whole time. And you're not dumb. You're doing this on purpose.
Yeah.
But that was the only time, except for you had a guy who tried to get 15.
Yeah. Who, like, luckily it was at a point where there was not a long line from the register, so I could sort of look through his books. And, here's the ones I'm buying, and underneath there are the free ones, and I'm looking at, like, the free one stack is gigantic. So I'm looking through this, I'm like, there's 15 books here. Is there more than one person you're with? Like, is this multiple people's books? And the guy's like, yeah, my girlfriend couldn't make it. Like, okay, that would be 8 then. Like, if we gave you 4 now for her.
Which we don't.
Yeah.
What's the rule, Dale?
You got Free Comic Book Day. You have to come in to get free comics. So I'm like, a bunch of these have to go back. And then I told you about it, and you had mentioned it to the people in the other room to remind them, like, hey, people only get 4.
You can't just say it, you have to watch it.
Right. But it turns out that they already knew exactly who you were talking about because they told him 4.
Yeah.
And he still was just grabbing whatever he felt like. I didn't have a negative interaction, really. I mean, there was that guy, but it was just, like, he was caught, and then we resolved it, and then he moved on.
Well, you think you didn't.
No, I was going to say, like...
I'm just getting up to that.
Yeah, so we got a Google review. It was a 1-star Google review, and I'm not going to dig it out to read it, but the gist of it was somebody was furious that we charged them 7 cents for a bag. And, like, it doesn't even matter that they just bought something. And it's a flimsy bag.
The world's thinnest plastic bag.
At which point I had to... We usually don't respond to Google reviews. I'll be honest with you. I know a lot of stores do. And there's probably some benefit to that. I like leaving that space for people to post whatever they want.
Yeah.
If they want to say something good, great. If they got something negative they want to say, fine. But this was a thing where it's like, this is misinformation. Like, this is someone who sounded like they were not normally from Chicago.
Well,
so I had to go in and say, here is the legal requirement that we have as a store in Chicago. Like, here we have to charge 7 cents for a bag because we're not a restaurant. There is a sign posted at the register and a sign posted at the door, which we also legally have to do.
We don't have to legally post a sign.
Here is a link to the PDF where you can read the city ordinance explaining why we have to do this. Why we have to collect a 7-cent bag tax.
My favorite part of the whole thing was I used to model for DC Collectibles, so I'm used to being around socially awkward people, but I've never met someone as awkward as that. Like, who are they describing?
Apparently me.
That's insane.
For saying, so I apologize to the other 300-something people that I rang up that day for being so unbelievably awkward. I apologize for that interaction that you must have had that you've been seething about ever since, just like this person did. So I was a little upset when I had to post that kind of correction to their review. And then I do what I normally do when we get weird reviews where it's like, this doesn't seem like something that we did. Like, I was there. I don't remember being cruel or unkind or inconsiderate. It was just a matter of, this happens regularly throughout the day. People will not want a bag, or they'll just be getting their free books. And they'll say, can I have a bag? And we have to say it's 7 cents. And sometimes that can be a little, I don't want to say awkward.
Off-putting?
But it can be weird because then they have to come up with 7 cents. Like and some people want to charge 7 cents. And we have to go, we can't charge it less than $1. Our processor won't take it. So, I mean, we might have been short with them if we're helping a line of other people and someone comes in from the side and says, I want a bag, and we have to say it's 7 cents. But I wanted to check and see, like, is this...
Also, if you personally rang them up, you would say to them, did you need a bag for 7 cents?
Yeah.
So they've already been told about that. I don't say that.
I must have said it 300-something times that
I don't
day.
say that. I just say, do you need a bag? You always say...
Can we get you a bag for 7 cents?
Yeah.
Always make sure I put the 7 cents in there, because you never know if someone's going to be from out of town and they're going to be like, wait, why was I charged 7 cents?
I don't
didn't
say
buy
it
anything.
because there's a sign right there.
There is, but clearly that sign goes unheeded.
Oh, that's fine. But then if they're like, what? I can just say, it's right here.
So anyway, here's the wrap-up. So I check and see what other reviews this person had posted, and I immediately felt better about myself and less angry when I saw that the next review they had posted was a review claiming that a local dollar store was racist against white people. So I went, I can disregard this entirely. Fine.
Excellent.
Doesn't matter what this person has to say.
I just love that they have to rip on the quality of the bags.
Yep.
We buy our bags from
it's a black plastic
a
bag.
supply store.
It's no better or worse than any other plastic bag you're going to get anywhere in the city.
The world's thinnest plastic bag. Like, we manufacture them ourselves
7 cents.
And skimp on them as much as possible.
And it doesn't even matter that they just bought something. No, it doesn't, because it would have cost you 7 cents then too. That's my whole point. Yeah, my apology. I'm not holding my breath for it. Don't think it's going to be headed my way anytime soon.
I'm sure that they'll change it. And I love it when it's not about the store, not about the quality of the merchandise.
No, just about a city ordinance and a personal attack against me.
Yeah.
So thanks. Hope everybody had a good free comic day.
I mean, there's a little part of me that was like, oh, cool, it's not one of mine.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, I would rather it be about me, because when it's about somebody who works for us, it's like, well, that's a problem we have to solve now.
Yeah.
When it's about me, it's like, well, either I'm going to change my behavior or I don't think this is warranted. And either way, I'm not really going to get disciplined. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
I'm not at risk of losing my job. I'm sorry. I apologize to this person that the bag tax fee was not made clear to them, because apparently it was not.
I'm sure it was.
That's all I can say, though. Like, I can't apologize for charging the 7 cents. Not my call. I did not get a vote on that within city council or the mayor's office or whoever was responsible for it. My alderman, I'm not my alderman, you know? Sorry.
That's so weird, because I did vote for you.
Thank you. I appreciate that.
So Free Comic Day is over, and we survived. We had 4 less staff members than we thought we would.
And a bunch less cosplayers than we normally do.
And a bunch less cosplayers than normal, and even we survived the no-show of one of the local artists who was scheduled to be there, who emailed an hour before their shift to say they're not going to make it, when I'm not checking my email during the day.
No. I think it went well. There's always things we could do differently. One of the things that happened was the air conditioning went out about an hour into the day.
Yeah, it's still out, by the way, and today was awful.
Yeah.
And today was real nice.
You may
outside.
want to email Larimar, because
okay.
I did and she never responded, so maybe you want to give it a shot.
Sure.
But the things we could have done better, I think I told you I think we need signs on the exterior of the building saying here's where the line is for Free Comic Book Day.
Yeah,
like here's the entrance, here's the exit, because we would have people even later in the day when there wasn't a line coming into the store, and you had said to me, like, we got to make sure that people don't just walk into that room.
Yeah.
Because there's a whole process of policing it, and if people are basically entering the exit and exiting the entrance, like, that's a problem.
Well, I'm not pointing fingers, but normally one of the people who didn't show up is right there.
That's true. But
however, we couldn't have expected that person to be there for 12 hours.
But this is a thing that we can take steps to correct for next year.
Well, when Kent suggested, well, we need a sign for this, I go, Kent, we had a sign for that last year. It did no good. And you stood in front of it most of the time.
Yeah.
That's right, Kent. You remember that. And in previous years, we took advantage of the empty storefront to put signs up in their window, because that's right where the line would start.
Right.
We won't be able to do that next year.
No.
In theory.
We'll figure something.
We also took full advantage of that empty storefront this year and put all the stuff, like you notice the chairs weren't just sitting on top of the shelves.
Right.
We moved them next door.
Yeah.
Stuff like that.
Yeah.
I don't know when, but I think the lifespan of that TARDIS is coming to the end.
Yeah, probably. Especially the water damage.
The water damage, the sun fading, the more I move it around, the more it gets beaten up.
Sure.
And were it a full put together thing that sits untouched in a corner, it'd be fine.
Right.
But it's got 5 years worth of packing tape, not 5 years worth, but 5-year-old packing tape on it.
Sure.
That being said, I don't have the heart to get rid of it yet.
Mm-hmm.
But throughout Free Comic Book Day, one person said, "Oh, a TARDIS." Because also it's not a feature because it can't be outside because it's way too flimsy.
Yeah.
We tried it one year. It's like, no, this can't be out here.
Yeah.
We want the photo op. Putting the characters outside is it gets a lot of people to stop, even if they have no idea what's going on.
Sure.
That's one of the things. There's so many people that the cosplayers talk into the store.
Mm-hmm.
You're like, yeah, they're coming. Oh, they're coming right out. They grab their free books and they're gone.
Yeah.
They don't go into the store itself. They're just like, hey, we'll take these free things.
Sure.
But I don't know. Maybe. There's always the hope. It never works that way.
Yeah. It's a good day, though.
I wish, if anyone is listening to this, who Dal's imitating my hand gestures right now, who
Double axe handle.
started coming to the store because of Free Comic Book Day, let us know.
Yeah.
Like, if your first experience in the store was Free Comic Book Day and you read a book and you're like, I want to know more about this, and you started coming back, not somebody that moved to the city, was looking for a comic store anyway and came on a Free Comic Book Day, but somebody that hadn't been a comic fan, came to Free Comic Book Day, then fell in love with the medium of comics, and then somehow found this podcast, let us know. I can tell you what I expect to hear the most of from listeners this week.
What's that?
These are the flimsiest bags.
Flimsiest bags.
Thanks for listening.
Keep reading comics.
This has been Contest of Challengers. Thanks for listening. Keep reading comics. Challengers is located at 1845 Northwestern Avenue in the Bucktown neighborhood of Chicago. 773-278-0155. Keep up to date with new releases and events at challengerscomics.com. Like Challengers Comics on Facebook, follow @Challengers on Twitter, and help fund this podcast at patreon.com/challengers.